Are the T Lann Imass, one of the races in Malazan Book of the Fallen, one of the most emotional races in fantasy? I think so. Let's see what you think after I have described them when it comes to how they look and a bit about their personality. They are an important race in Malazan Book of the Fallen. If you have just started to read the series, just curious, this is a great video for you. If you are experienced, maybe this is just fun to listen to. I hope so. The T Lann Imass were described as having smooth, almost hairless gold or honey-like skin. Imagine that. I think it's important when you read fantasy not to look at, artwork too much. Imagine for yourself, how did the T Lann Imass look? And just starting out with the skin color of the T Lann Imass. Their eyes were brown or amber, and they, as I understand it, were, very deep, the eyes, and their cheeks were very high, and the brows were very pronounced, almost like a shelf, it said. So this makes it a very interesting race. Initially, when I read about T Lann Imass, I thought of the ents in Lord of the Rings. I'm not sure why, but somehow they gave that kind of impression in my imagination with my filter. They were also short, they had broad shoulders, they were very muscular, and they also had very disproportionate legs, and they almost bowed. You know, the um, the knees were almost aligned with the hips. This must look interesting, to say the least, if you would meet the T Lann Imass. Still, with this, I think it's a bit ant-like. But let's forget about ant-like for a while, because Eriksson and Ian Searselmont wanted to get away from tropes. So I suppose they didn't want you to have that kind of association. Still, it lingers in my mind. They had long black hair, and their voices were very monotonous, like a, one high pitch tone when they were talking, and one low pitch when they were talking. So almost like singing. Well, I could speak some Swedish for you, because Swedish is said to be sound like singing. Maybe that's how the T Lann Imass were sounding, like Scandinavian languages. I don't know. Maybe. Um, they also had tools made of flint, and they are connected to a certain group, you could say, called the bone casters. And I don't want to spoil anything at all for you, just to know this seems like a highly spiritual and ritualistic people. And they also had these bone casters. They used the warren of Tilan. Actually, these warrens that are connected to different races or groups in Malazan Book of the Fallen, you can actually decode them. Maybe not so easily, but you can. And when it clicks, it makes it very, very, self-explanatory which warren was connected to whom. At least the warren's not mentioned in the beginning of Gardens of the Moon. So please continue to be a Malazan detective. They also, when hunting, decorated the bodies in yellow ochre paint. It must have looked very, very powerful and almost scary, with these creatures, this race, walking around. They also had a friend, you could say, almost like a spiritus familiaris, and that is the eye. They were a kind of wolves, giant wolves. I say eye, maybe you pronounce it differently. That were one of their greatest companions they had. They worship the spirits in everything. So it could be earth and rock, tree, sun and stars. Highly spiritual, highly poetic, I would say, the T Lann Imass are. And I think Erikson, especially Erikson, he captures the emotional tone of the T Lann Imass. And you can get very emotional yourself, close to your feelings when reading about T Lann Imass, their destiny, what they are talking about, different characters we follow in the Malazan Book of the Fallen that are T Lann Imass, and they are usually, I think, very admirable people. One interesting thing that is that they don't like to capture things in picture or in art. So instead they used, I think almost like the Lascaux, I think Lascaux caves, right? The paintings of animals and hunts, in Spain and I think southern France, all over Europe. There were these called Lascaux caves. I'm not an expert. I read art history, so I know a bit about it. And the humans and animals, they are drawn in a very simplistic way, almost like simple figures or pictures that children do. I'm not sure the English word here. In Swedish, it's streckfigurer. So if you are Swedish, you can translate it for me. But you cannot see the traits of the face. You only see a round head, two eyes, one mouth, just a line for the body and line for the arms, left, right, and legs, and so on. Maybe he or she has a weapon hunting with, and then you see a big mammoth, for example, or a bison, for example. I imagine that's how they drew things, the T Lann Imass. They were also very, very, in hiding, not showing themselves too much. And if they thought it was a good idea, they could reveal themselves for other. But it was almost like, I don't know, like deers or reindeers here. You don't see them so often in the forest, but if they do, they seem to be very deliberately showing up or staring at you, for example. One thing, as I said in the beginning, they are very, very emotional, the T Lann Imass. They can't hide their feelings. They have to, show up and tell about the feelings. And it has to do with grief, love, friendship, loyalty, things like that touched them so much. And when you read about them, you can feel this connection. They are highly human, something I really appreciate. What's your take on the T Lann Imass? How do you picture them? Do you like to look at artwork for T Lann Imass, or did you imagine it yourself, how they look like? Do you have a reference to other books or other literature like I had with Lord of the Rings, initially at least? I think T Lann Imass are unique. They have a unique history also on the Malazan continent. That's another topic for another video. I will divide these videos in playlists. So T Lann Imass will become a playlist. If you haven't seen the Thais the Ande video, I recommend you to watch that. And until next time, have a great day. If you feel curious and more Malazan content, there is a lot on the channel. Interviews with Steven Erikson, reflections on the Malazan Book of the Fallen, conversations with other booktubers, and you can also see some comments if you watch those videos, there are comments there. You can read the comments. They are quite interesting too when it comes to ideas about the Malazan Book of the Fallen. So until next time, have a great day. It was nice to see you. Bye.